I find it interesting how it's not random, the placement of the hadith here. Like,
I mean,
the second one is very.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you actually look at the Sahih al-Bukhari, I have a special lecture actually about the dynamics, like why is this hadith is listed after this hadith. You read the hadith 10 times, the two hadith, you cannot find a connection initially. But then when you start, oh my goodness, how did he think of that? Like seriously, like what was he thinking? Seriously, like how did it come to his mind? Subhanallah. These things were not random actually, and it takes a lot of digging through to understand, because he wasn't just like Googling and this is good hadith, put it here. It was an effort. It was istikhara. He would make istikhara 2 weeks before he selected the hadith. And then he would actually put the hadith, not this hadith, he said, this is going to fit here. Right? So over the years, that's when they assembled them. Same thing here. These things were not random. A lot of thoughts, a lot of effort. And subhanAllah, people who don't study the hadith, they don't appreciate actually what the hadith is. It really takes enormous effort to understand the hadith. Everyone appreciates the Quran, right? Even if they don't understand it, they say this is the words of Allah. But not a lot of people actually appreciate the hadith. Why? Because they don't spend enough effort learning the hadith. And this is subhanAllah why, I developed love to hadith, truly love and passion to the hadith, because there are so much in the hadith. An example actually you will find in the following hadith. طيب, let's move to the next hadith inshallah. Who can read it for us?
I'll read it.
Bismillah. Let me see if we're on the same page.
Number 13.
طيب.
حديث أبي بكر وعمر رضي الله عنهما. قال أبو هريرة لما توفي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وكان أبو بكر رضي الله عنه وكفر من كفر من العرب، فقال عمر رضي الله عنه كيف تقاتل الناس وقد قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أمرت أن أقاتل الناس حتى يقولوا لا إله إلا الله، فمن قالها فقد عصم مني ماله ونفسه إلا بحقه، فمن قالها فقد عصم مني ماله ونفسه إلا بحقه وحسابه على الله. فقال أبو بكر والله لأقاتلن من فرق بين الصلاة والزكاة، فإن الزكاة حق المال، والله لو منعوني عناقا كانوا يؤدونها إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لقاتلتهم على منعها.
قال عمر رضي الله عنه
قال عمر رضي الله عنه فوالله ما هو إلا أن قد شرح الله صدر أبي بكر رضي الله عنه فعرفت أنه الحق.
Can someone read us the butchered translation of this hadith? Now you will see why I'm saying this.
Hadith of Abu Bakr and Umar radiallahu anhu. Narrated Abu Huraira radiallahu anhu, when Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam died and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu became the Khalif, some Arabs renegated, converted to disbelief. Abu Bakr decided to declare war against them. Umar said to Abu Bakr, how can you fight with these people, although Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, I have been ordered by Allah to fight the people till they say La ilaha illallah. None has the right to be worshipped but Allah. And whoever said it, then he will save his life and property from me, except on transgressing Islamic laws. law, rights and conditions for which he will be punished justly, and his account will be with Allah. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu said, by Allah, I will fight those who differentiate between as-salah, the prayers, and the zakat, as zakat is the compulsory right to be taken from the property, according to Allah's orders. By Allah, if they refuse to pay me even a she-kid, which they used to pay at the time of Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I would fight with them from withholding it. Then Umar radiallahu anhu said, by Allah, it was nothing, but Allah opened Abu Bakr's chest towards the decision to fight, and I came to know that his decision was right. Sahih Bokhari, Hadith number 483, volume.
Very simple, right?
You don't pay.
All right.
You don't pay, you gotta pay something.
All right. So let's dissect this hadith. What does this hadith have? Because we're gonna break it down into different topics and speak about each one of them, inshallah. So, what is the main theme or the main message in this hadith you take?
Fighting against apostasy.
Apostasy. Okay. So that's one topic basically that we need to address, right? Apostasy. What else?
No separation between zakah and salah.
So rules are rules.
I'll take that.
Good enough. Let's say salah, zakah, same. Okay. What else? The main one that caught my eye is basically something different. So I'll see if someone is sharing me the same.
About preserving religion, and how to preserve religion.
Like what? So I mean, just give me like what was the message specifically?
Quoting the Prophet
Saying what?
To the lives of those who bear witness to the oneness of Allah was protected.
Okay. So sanctity of those who declared faith, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
So declaration of faith leads to the sanctity of soul and property, or life and property. What else?
The fact that Umar radiallahu anhu and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu were disagreeing at first.
Sure. So disagreement.
Hypocrisy doesn't allow you to violate someone.
Hypocrisy does not.
Yeah, or claiming hypocrisy.
I'm not sure if I understand it. Probably you understand it, but I'm a slow
So
person.
I guess all that matters is to declare that you're Muslim.
Okay, that's a good one actually, but it is mentioned here. It is kind of hidden somewhere. What else? What is the exact hadith? Because Abu Hurairah here is narrating like an event actually after the passing away of the Prophet ﷺ. But then Umar is quoting the Prophet ﷺ saying something actually. This is why I'm kind of like made this the focal point. Bottom line is the statement of the Prophet ﷺ, what he said. And that's the issue actually. That's where the meat is. That's where the problem.
Well, I found it interesting.
Saying
That hadith, the quoting of the Prophet is actually part of a longer hadith. It's also in Sahih Bokhari. I know it's in
Yes,
Imam Nawawi's
yeah.
40 hadith.
Yes,
It's
well, this
part of
is
the long
exactly, this is why I chose, I'm gonna basically focus on it. But what does it say?
Spreading Islam.
Sisters, you can also have your,
Defines Muslim.
They're
At the surface of it, we're fighting people.
exactly, speak up.
fighting people to spread Islam.
Fighting people,
'Cause it says fight against till they say la ilaha
Yeah, until they say
illallah.
fighting people till they say, La ilaha illallah.
This is used by Islamophobes a lot.
Yeah, and this is exactly why we need to address it.
True.
Because it is shocking to me, honestly, that the translation goes in this book as such. Because this is completely wrong.
Wow.
And for someone, truly, I mean, someone who's trying to write an article or an essay about Islam, it's like, you know, all what they say, hadith number 13, this great book of Lulu and Marjan, you know, the one that is what scholars love, this is what they're saying. And he's just copying, pasting, right? And saying like, fight people till they say La ilaha illallah, right? I mean, this is exactly what the hadith says. And then it goes on Fox and you cannot blame them, right? Who fed them that wrong information? Us. This is actually what ISIS uses, by the way. This hadith is probably, I think all ISIS members have to pass, you know, memorizing this hadith before, you know, they make them active members, or at least to brainwash them with this hadith. And it's clearly mentioning, you know, that I've been commanded to fight people till they say that ilaha illallah. But what else? So we're going to talk about fighting today. What else?
The continuation of the message of Islam after the Prophet ﷺ passed away. Because many of these tribes may think, okay, you know, the Prophet has passed, so we're going to pick and choose.
We go back to our old one.
Continuation of the message of the sunnah of the, what else?
Zakat haqqul iman.
Okay. That's good, but we already spoke about it, so I'm not gonna list it here. Alrighty. So this hadith simply, as you know, after the Prophet ﷺ passed away, a lot of people, and again, remember when we just said human nature, basically, why give money? Or it's very sensitive, you know, and you cannot live in a utopia and think this idealism. Oh, everyone's like, you know, gonna give their money away. They love Allah. No. People love money too, right? And here's an example where, does that make sense? I mean, it's just like everything is falling in place. One, there is logical order here, right? And it's telling you, yes, this is true. What the Prophet ﷺ is saying is true. Right? Example is, the Prophet ﷺ passed away. In no time, people stopped paying zakat. We don't want to pay zakat. We gave it to the Prophet ﷺ. Why give it to Abu Bakr now? Right? And then that's basically what's considered apostasy. And why is that apostasy? That's abandoning one of the major pillars of Islam, one of the major must-to-do requirements in Islam. We're going to speak about this in general. I'm just giving you just the context of this hadith. And then Abu Bakr wants to, obviously, fight these people. Not just fighting them, you know. When he asked them to do, they insisted they're not going to do it. And they actually started mocking him. And it became like a matter, he's in charge, okay, do you enforce the rules or not? Imagine like, you know, just as a president, as a federal government, some people go and occupy a farm, It's like everyone claims their own estate, right? What difference does it make? It may not make a difference, actually. Right? Give up the farm. But there is law and order here. This is the integrity of the state. These people probably did not contribute much in zakat anyway, but it doesn't matter. See what I'm saying? It's a matter of faith, matter of the continuity of the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and matter of this respecting the law and order. Right? See, when you use current examples, modern examples, it becomes more like easily understood. Like, this is exactly what it means. Like, you know what? I'm not gonna pay taxes. My taxes, let's say, only $1,000 a year. Well, you have to, right? Because this is how it works, right? Then Umar said, like, what's the big deal? I mean, why do you want to fight? I mean, for God's sake, this is a war now, right? And that's when Abu Bakr grabs him from his, chest and says, "Jabbarun fil jahiliyyati, khawwarun fil Islam." Before you became a Muslim, you were like a monster, basically. Jabbar, a tyrant. That's what it means. And now weak in Islam. You would expect Abu Bakr was the soft person. Abu Bakr was a very soft person. As a matter of fact, when the Prophet ﷺ wanted him to, be designated the Imam, to fill his place when he was sick, Aisha didn't want that. He said, "Inna Abu Bakr rajulun asif." Awlayyin. Asif meaning like he's too soft. He'll start praying and he's going to start crying and people wouldn't hear him. And he wouldn't basically even be comprehended. So it's like, leave him alone. Of course, she didn't want people to associate Abu Bakr with the ailment, with the passing of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I said, like, does that make sense? Like, she was thinking ahead. And that's when the Prophet ﷺ said, "Inna kunna suwayhibatu Yusuf." Like, you're kind of cunning, just like the woman of Yusuf when they had that party and invited him. It's like, this is the cunning aspect of, this is like cunning, just like this woman did. Said, "Muru Aba Bakrin falyusalli bin-nas." So you expect that soft person is say, like, leave him alone, right? Whereas Umar was always like, ما زلنا أعزة منذ أسلم عمر. We've been, alhamdulillah, أعزة meaning like mighty, powerful, in an esteemed position since Umar became a Muslim. But here, you see, this is the adherence to the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, right? And that's why everything we do in Islam is like weighing risk and benefit, doing this and that. And for Abu Bakr was always satisfying Allah, complying with the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Everything else falls below in the list, right? Some people like, war or no war, right? For Abu Bakr, okay, what is it that would make me copy or keep the path of the Prophet ﷺ? Right? This is all what he cared about. He's got the message and he's going to keep that legacy of the Prophet ﷺ. This was his number one priority. How he keeps it? Whatever it takes. It's fighting, we fight. And that's why he said, in the end, if they are obstructing, like giving aqala ba'irin, like a small camel, like a baby camel, that they used to give to the Prophet ﷺ, I'm going to fight it. You see, like, he's fighting basically not for the money, not for himself, because I'm a leader. He's fighting for the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. It's the principle of it. Of what? How did the Prophet do it? We're going to do it. The same example, the same model. Is that clear now? So it's the principle, it's the law, it is the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. I am not going to be the one who violates that order of the Prophet ﷺ. I'm going to keep it the exact same way. And this is exactly what he did, radiallahu anhu. And that's why, you know, that Abu Bakr was undoubtedly the best human being ever after prophets, ever. And basically, the scholars say basically, this was an educational lesson to Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu. When they say that shake for Umar woke him up basically, and woke up his faith and elevated him to another level. That's when Umar said, I knew this was something Allah opened the chest or the heart of Abu Bakr for, and I knew he was on the right path. Right? So, and this is, you know, the companions, they actually, the Prophet ﷺ raised them, educated them. But after that, they still took care of each other. Abu Bakr wouldn't let it go. Right? He had to address it right then and there on the spot. So that's basically when they fought the apostates here, and 70 actually people of the companions who memorized the Quran were killed. So it takes a lot of sacrifice, a lot of bloodshed to protect the integrity of the state. That was Ma'arakatul al-Yamama, as you know, when 70 people who memorized the Quran were killed. These are the first generation of the companions after the Prophet ﷺ has passed away. Then, what really matters here is, here you have a hadith in which Umar bin Khattab narrating, the Prophet ﷺ saying, well, you have a statement of the Prophet ﷺ saying, whoever says, La ilaha illallah, or I've been ordered, commanded to fight, quote unquote, the people, till they declare La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. And once they do that, then they have a protected, or they made sacred their souls, their lives, their wealth, except for what is taken in punishment, like penalty, when they violate the law. Basically, if someone kills, someone steals, someone does and that. Right? And otherwise, they're sacred. So how are you fighting them? Right? So that tells us basically violating the faith, compromising one of the major prohibitions is actually just like kufr. And that's why they call it ridda. Someone decides, you know what, we don't want Ramadan, we don't want zakat, we don't want... Even if they say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, that is what we call apostasy, that is kufr, right? Denying the order, denying the obligation of a certain requirement in the deen. Now, the Now, before we come to the end of time, I really want to address what does it mean, أُمِرْتُ أَنْ أُقَاتِلَ النَّاسَ, I've been ordered to fight the people till they declare the faith. Because that's basically the focal point in this hadith. So what does that mean? Let's just take a pause here and see how you interpret this. If someone meets you tomorrow at work or at school and tells you, you know what, I was on Fox News and they were quoting this hadith. So how do you explain it to them?
Were they at war with the Persians at that time?
No. The war with the Persians started during the time of Umar radiallahu anhu.
Could you said that the Prophet ﷺ giving this, maybe, I don't want to say this, but you'll correct me obviously if I'm wrong, but it was during a time when the world was divided into religions of Islam and Christianity and Judaism, which we don't have very simply today, firstly, and then also because we don't have an Islamic Khilafah established today. So, well, a legitimate,
no, you don't want to go there.
Islamic, it's also a way of debunking, them, because the person's going to ask the next question about ISIS. So,
any other person who wants to try?
I mean, I think the culture of the people at that time was very tribalistic in nature itself. So, to establish that this is the law and this is what the law that will be continuing in this land, you had to be able to essentially have those people under control. And the way to have those people under control would be to fight them, because that's what they would do to you if you did not establish that law.
The answer is much simpler than that. The Prophet ﷺ, yes, you wanted to say something?
Couldn't he have just used it like as a figure of speech, like to emphasize how important it is, or?
No. When the Prophet says something, it's a law. I mean, it goes... it's not metaphoric, it is not allegorical, it is something real. Simply, actually, when you read the Quran, the answer is in the Quran, because he used the word nas, and nas means people, but it could be specific people, actually. And there is a reason why it is interpreted that way. And he was simply speaking about the pagan Arabs at that time. As simple as it is, actually, many people do not have a hard time understanding how is that happening. I mean, it is people, nas is nas. The closest example to that is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Imran, الَّذِينَ, describing the believers after Ghazwat Uhud, the battalion of Uhud, he says, الَّذِينَ قَالَ لَهُمُ النَّاسُ إِنَّ النَّاسَ قَدْ جَمَعُوا لَكُمْ فَاخْشَوْهُمْ فَزَادَهُمْ إِيمَانًا وَقَالُوا حَسْبُنَا اللَّهُ وَنِعْمَ الْوَكِيلُ. Those believers, when the people, same word, الناس, tell them that the people are gathering troops for you to scare them, said, it actually it increases their faith, and they say, Hasbunallah, suffices us Allah, and He's the best of to be relied on. Does that make sense? So he said, we are not finished with this meaning yet. I'm going to show you where this came from. So it said, Inna قال له الناس إن قد جمعوا لكم. So there are the two الناس. They're the same, it's the same word, but I had it different colors because it means different group of people. So, and to have a symmetrical, those when say gathering for you. When the people say the people, right? So it's the same thing. When the people say the people are gathering for you, right? It's totally different groups of people. It's not the entire world, right? And these people actually were the hypocrites of the Medina. the hypocrites of the Medina, talking about say to whom? To the believers, that the people are gathering for you. Who are these people meant?
Quraysh.
The Quraysh disbelievers, the pagans of Quraysh. Right? Why would this meaning be clear to the Prophet at that time, alayhi salatu wassalam, or to the companions? Why would it be clear?
The context.
Yeah. Because he knew who was
More
telling
than
him.
exactly. He knew who these people were talking about, the same people. It's basically in the context of a circumstance, a conversation, that we know who these people are. When I tell you, did the woman come?
It's not every woman in the world.
Are we talking about all women in the world? You know, the women that are invited to the class or to the party, you know, it's the 5 people that we know who they are. And you don't have to specify, right? When I tell you, are the brothers coming tonight? Right? You're not talking about my brothers, my siblings. You're not talking about my brothers in the masjid. You're talking about these brothers here, because this is what we talk about. And that actually falls in this the. That is to define, right? But here to define, it's called ahd. Define a specific, what they call it, al ahd. It's al indicates a specific understood figure, actually. That's what it means. Basically, we already know in mind who it is. Is that clear? And that's when the Prophet ﷺ is speaking, like, required to fight these people or the people. Like they know that it was the pagans of Quraysh, the pagans of the Arabs at that time, till they do that.
So if it was meant to be the distorted meaning, then it would have been أمرت أن أقاتل الناس. Like if it was the general.
Al-Khalq.
It would have been like more general.
Exactly. This is what we call its general term. But أريد به الخاص رحم الله والديك. This is the عام meant to be used as specific, as exclusive, actually. See how subtle that meaning is? It's actually in the entire hadith falls in this al, what that means here. Because that has actually refers to the, what we call to the jins as a species, as a class, or as a general, or istighraq, everything, or al-ahd, something understood in mind already. Clear? And this is what, this really very deep, sophisticated meaning. Your regular ISIS person is not going to understand. He has not heard what this al-ahd, honestly. Probably he's never passed it through in whatever they read.
It's called
al-ahd. Al-ahd meaning known. Ma'hud meaning known to me. Al-ahd. Is that clear? And that's, this is an example. I'm glad, subhanAllah, that example came, because that shows you this deen is not a joke. No one can just open a book and, play a scholar. It's really, do you know how many people have misunderstood, misused and abused this hadith? Tons of people. Okay? And it's very dangerous. Some self-proclaimed scholars actually still quote this hadith and you see, jihad, we have to fight and we have, it's not actually, it's it only takes, it takes a lot of Arabic understanding, but you have to basically, anyone who goes through systematic structured training and just like, going through medical school, you know how to give a medicine. Same thing, you go through schooling, it's very well known. This is not something we're just making up. This is people wrote in books hundreds of years ago, before we're obligated to make ourselves look cool and nice and soft. We're not just trying to change the religion to satisfy and appease people. This is what people wrote in the scholars wrote in their books hundreds of years ago, right? So that's what it means in that hadith. When he's talking about, and that's the pagans of the Arabs at that time. Why did he have to fight them? Well, because people ask, well, why did he fight them in the first place? Because over and over like 23 years, they resisted nothing but fighting. They've always been, not even, leave us alone, we'll leave you alone. No, conspiring to kill the Prophet ﷺ. And the answer, they either become Muslims or they're always going to be enemies, trying to kill the Prophet and eradicate the Muslim community completely. And yes, the Prophet fought them, and when he conquered Mecca, how many people were killed? 3 people. He didn't go and it's like ethnic cleansing, right? This is what you would expect. Now, back to Mecca and just, right?
Why didn't he apply this there?
Exactly. Why didn't he go just kill everyone?
That's what it
That's not what it, it was basically they either submit, right? That's when you're safe. And that's when he conquered Mecca, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, everyone's safe. Go to your home and you're safe. Basically, when people are, they're surrendering basically, and now the Muslim community feels safe. Is that clear? That does not apply now. Why it cannot? Someone's going to argue, no, I don't believe this meaning.
Yeah, can somebody just say that it is applicable to the people, which is the hypocrite, and then apply that to saying you people are hypocrites, right? Versus the...
No, I'm just giving you, this example has nothing to do with the hadith. I'm just giving you that how Al talks about people, because when I'm speaking about the brothers now, right? You understand who the brothers are. I go home and I'm speaking about brothers and it's going to be totally different, the group. They're not the same. But it means that it's whoever known to me and the other person I'm having conversation with. This is what it is, right? It's very much in the context, in the circumstances of that specific event that we're talking about. Yes?
The question I have is how do we benefit from this hadith? Like he was talking about people back then, and how this is why I think a lot of people will misunderstand it. Like we have this hadith today, and I will read it, and that's the first thing I will think is that to carry this out. So how am I going to benefit from it, or is it just studying history?
Now that's why we're going to talk about these things. Our next thing is going to be what is jihad and what is fighting. Right? Jihad and war, actually, if you want to speak about fighting, right? Is jihad war? Is war jihad? Are they the same? When does this apply? When do we fight? When not to fight? Right? But that's not going to happen today. Yes. But I really want you to keep this, that the meaning specifically of this last year really means the pagans of the Arabs in Arabia during that time. And obviously that generation. Part of it is these people who reverted after, it's a continuum of that same environment, right? Which does not exist anymore.
The Prophet ﷺ is being quoted over here by Umar ibn Khattab as saying, I have been directed to fight against the people until they say. My question is, did the Prophet ﷺ say this multiple times, or was it a specific occasion? And what was the context?
We have the hadith, as the brother mentioned, it is quoted in the Bokhari.
Well, what was the context when the Prophet said
Well,
that?
that's exactly what he was
Just
talking
with the
about
pagans.
the pagans and the Quraysh, basically. And there are some other linguistic aspects of the hadith, but we'll save it for next time, inshallah. I'm going to stop here, inshallah, today. I think that I just wanted to make sure we address this point, and then next halaqah, inshallah, we will continue with fighting.
So now I get the people thing.
That was a joke, just no, I'm waving for the camera.
We all look back.
It's like, wow.
So I get the people thing, that Prophet ﷺ's little hadith, but so just to go back to the overall hadith, so Umar radiallahu anhu is quoting Prophet ﷺ and using that specific saying, trying to argue not to fight against these people.
Right, because they already said La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah, so that they're safe.
So this is like a limit. There's a Umar is arguing.
Yeah, once they say La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah, you leave them alone.
And then Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu understood that wasn't the relevance of the hadith and saying
That there's no difference between
Actually,
zakat and
the answer is in the hadith itself. Illa a
Except for the rights of Allah.
bihaqqi. That was the understanding of okay. This is the haqq also. So when you violate it, then you're punished for it. Violated the faith, the violated the zakah as well. Right? Abu Bakr had the comprehensive understanding that faith is not only declaration, it's a comprehensive thing. Someone denies the obligation of fasting, that's called ridda. Someone denies the obligation of salah, that is called ridda. Any obligation actually said, even if they say La ilaha illallah, even if they pray, they said, you know what, that khamr thing, whining and prohibition thing, that was for the Arabs. Now, this is modern life. Come on, how could you have social life without liquor and without alcohol? That is ridda. So one of the aspects of kufr, actually, what they call nawaqibul iman. One of them, nawaqib, meaning what nullifies the iman, even if someone still says La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah, is to deny the obligation or reverse the prohibition. Intentionally, knowingly. There's someone who could, let's say, drink alcohol, tell you know what, I'm weak, I'm sinner, may Allah forgive me. This is a asi, this is a sinner.
Still a Muslim.
Still a Muslim, that's okay. You know what I'm saying. That does not make it a kufr. But someone tells you, no, this was something, for these 1400 years ago, that was their Bedouin community. Now this is like 21st century. I never get drunk anyway. So Ibn Sina said that actually. Ibn Sina, the famous scholar, and he said Allah prohibited khamr, wine, for people like ordinary people, like the Joe Schmo on the street, because when they get drunk, they don't know what they're saying or they're doing. I don't get affected by that. That doesn't apply to me. I'm still in charge. I'm still in control. See, this is how slippery slopes. That's kufr, absolutely. So someone said, this prayer thing, why do you have to pray? Just meditate, and I feel so good when I meditate. But this is kufr. So it's really kind of subtle. That's why understanding the deen, understanding what it takes to fulfill the sunnah of the Prophet is essential.
Are you going to end up maybe touching on the incidents between Khalid bin Walid and another companion that was executed within that same era?
Within what?
Within the same context of where Khalid bin Walid executed, I don't know whether it's a companion or someone, due to the same issue, and the issue was taken to Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr and Umar, they both reprimanded him, and then they had to pay diya for that particular person.
I'm not sure which incident you're referring
It might have been the White House or something.
I don't. The answer, I'm not going to.
And in relation to apostasy,
I'm gonna have to look into this, inshallah. I'm not. Sayyidina Khalid killed a lot of people, actually. Some of them, many of them were by mistake, actually. Yeah. So, and they paid the diya for him as well. It was a mistake. SubhanAllah. So, but I'll look into this and see how this relates to our topic, inshallah. Alrighty. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله والحمد لله رب العالمين وجزاكم الله خيرا.